Welcome to the Linguist Show. Morning, everyone. Welcome back to our Linguist Show. And this is our last episode for multiculturalism and multilingualism. Since we are done with the 5 regions, including Philippines, Asia, Europe, America, which includes Latin, North, and South, and also Africa. Let's now talk about the continents of Australia, including New Zealand and Oceania. So we are having our guests and researchers. So welcome to our show, Miss Marife and Kathleen. They will introduce to us about Australia. So today, here are some batch of researchers who will introduce to us the overview of the multiculturalism and the multilingualism of these regions. So come on now, get ready with your ears, ready to listen. For the first batch of guests and researchers are from Australia. So as we all know that generally multiculturalism is the way by which a society deals with the cultural diversity, and multilingualism is understood to the mean knowledge of more language than a native language. So what is the unique characteristics of Australia, Marife?
Some of the characteristics that Australia have is that Australia is the oldest, flattest, and driest inhabited continent with the least fertile soil. It is a mega diverse country. It is also give it a wide variety landscapes and climates, with deserts in the center, tropical rainforests in the northeast, and mountain ranges in the southeast. Geographically speaking, Australia is a global anomaly. The Oceania mainland is the world's largest island, and it is the only continent to double also as an island. Australia is one of the most world highly urbanized countries. It is well known for its attractive megacities such as Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and also Perth.
And what are the different traditional beliefs of this region, or what is their culture about?
So, talking about the religious aspect in Australia, the religious makeup of Australia has changed gradually over the past 50 years. Catholicism is the largest Christian grouping in Australia. Australia is increasingly a story of religious diversity within Hinduism, Sikhism, Islam, and Buddhism. All is increasingly common religious belief. So, Christianity has had an enduring impact on Australia. Australian Catholics were predominantly of Irish origin until post-World War II immigrations brought more than 1 million Catholics from elsewhere in Europe.
Kathleen, what is the language used in this region and how they obtain their language?
While the official language in Australia is English, Australians have their mother tongue with a unique flair that can make them difficult to understand, notwithstanding the spectrum of Australian slang and colloquialism. Aussie's speaking style that is born from a national sense of humor, playfulness, and affliction with irony.
We all know that multiculturalism and multilingualism is very much give an effects to a certain country. How do they accept multiculturalism and multilingualism in their region?
Multiculturalism in this region has been a contested policy and concept, both in Australia and overseas, with detractors often criticizing it as a divisive policy and a concept that was allegedly lacking in substance and precision. Government and other services established in their multicultural policies have played a significant role in facilitating the settlement of immigrants, and many elements of the service infrastructure have endured despite the controversy surrounding the concept.
So what are the advantages and disadvantages of multiculturalism and multilingualism in their region?
Having cultural links with both Western cultured countries and Asian countries has both advantages and disadvantages. cultural links with different countries allows Australia to be a multicultural country with diversity in opportunities like languages, sports, traditions, and entertainments. However, having links with different countries might cause a clash in ideology. Since Australia is a multicultural country, the different traditions and beliefs from different countries may be disagreeing.
So thank you guys. Now we all know about Australia. And now let's proceed to New Zealand. We have Harleen, Grace, and Janeline.
New Zealand has a very unique and dynamic culture. The culture of its indigenous Maori people affects the language, the arts, and even the accent of the New Zealanders. Their place in the South Pacific and their love of the outdoors, sports, and arts make New Zealanders and their culture unique in the world. The New Zealand culture is open-minded and welcoming to people of all countries and cultures. As a country, we value kindness, tolerance, and friendships. We're open-minded and welcoming toward all religions and uphold the right to freedom of religion, worship, and belief for all. Kiwis accept everyone to be treated fairly and they enjoy feeling safe in their home and in public places. Thank you, that's all.
What is the language used and how do they obtain this language? English, which is spoken by 95.4% of the country's population. In terms of the three New Zealand official languages, English is far from the oldest, but it is spoken either natively or as a second language by almost the entire country's population. New Zealand English has its own distinctive accent and incorporates vocabulary that is not found in the British, American, or Australian English. Words such as tangata wenwa and iwi, for example, are routinely used in English language media without accompanying translation, or they mean people of the land and tribe respectively. Maori is written using the Latin alphabet as introduced by missionaries in the early 19th century who found that the language didn't have an indigenous writing system.
They accept multiculturalism and multilingualism in their region.
Evaluating multiculturalism and its impact of migration. In the span of a decade, these initiatives have achieved significant progress. Despite this, there is substantive critique about New Zealand's trust with multiculturalism.
So what are the advantages and disadvantages of multiculturalism and multilingualism in their region?
In the New Zealand, biculturalism, accorded by the Treaty of Waitangi or Tiriti of Waitangi, signed in 1840, refers to the coexistence of two distinct cultures, Maori or indigenous and non-Maori in partnership. Since the 1970s, the government of New Zealand attempted.
Since we are all done with Australia and New Zealand, let's now proceed to Oceania. Let's have Vanessa and Queenie.
So everyone, let us talk about the Oceania. Oceania is a home for many animal species. The climate zone features is cool summer and winter, with a few extremes in temperature or in rainfall. So Oceania are the cold Earth's polar region, and it has four basic types of islands, which is the continental islands, high islands, coral reef, and uplifted coral platforms. 70% of people in Oceania describes themselves as Christians. There are religions that they practiced, like Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. Their traditional tribes, they believed in spirits and natural forces. Their culture is art and manifestation of human activities and achievements. Oceania has been influenced by the Western culture due to the immigration from Europe since 17th century till present day.
So the majority language of Oceania is English. Oceania has many indigenous languages, though many have been replaced by English and other European languages. Melanesia and Australia is home to over 5,000 languages alone. With one of the greatest linguistic diversity in the world, the features shared include tendency toward use of separate words rather than affixes to express grammatical relationships, a basic 5-vowel system, and several common phonetic simplific actions of the original Austrian sound system.
They accept multiculturalism and multilingualism in their region.
So the continent of Oceania is made up of a vast number of island groups located in the Pacific Ocean. Lotherington makes reference to the three ethnographic regions, which is the Melanesia in Southwest Pacific, a highly multilingual area. Polynesia, which includes New Zealand, is located both in South and North Pacific, which is very linguistically homogeneous. Though during 1980s and 1990s, Australia has been shifting towards increased acknowledgement of its multilingual and multicultural status.
So what are the advantages and disadvantages of multiculturalism and multilingualism in their region?
Advantages and disadvantages of multiculturalism and multilingualism in the region. So in this global community that we now live in, it is a quite advantageous if we can communicate in a language other than our own tongue. Aside from the cognitive improvements shown by research, social emotional benefits are also in store for aspiring bilinguals. People who speak 2 or more languages are found to be more confident and self-esteem and less prone to developing anxiety and experiencing loneliness.
That's it, guys. I hope you gain knowledge for our episode today, and we all know that multiculturalism and multilingualism have the greatest impact in our economic growth. So, see you next episode. Bye!